So tell me, who in their right minds will accept a job that entails a 40% pay cut and a hybrid setup coming from working remotely for 8 years? Yep, that would be me. It didn't last long though, but it was something that needed to be done, so no regrets because that job served its purpose. Was it worth it? Strangely, yes. Hey everyone, I'm Maria, and today I'm sharing my personal journey about finding work as an immigrant here in Spain. In this video, I will share my own experience from shocking salary differences to office culture shock after 8 years of working remotely. Plus, I will reveal the unexpected reason why I decided to look for a local job in the first place. And I'm telling you now, it wasn't for the money. First things first, why did I decide to get a local job in Barcelona? It wasn't for the career growth or the amazing Spanish salaries, trust me. It was actually to improve our chances of renting a better apartment. Because you see, Spanish landlords strongly prefer tenants with local employment contracts and pay slips, or commonly known as nominas. Having two stable local incomes makes you much more attractive as a tenant in this competitive market. This might sound strange if you're from the US or UK, but that's just how things work here in Spain, or at least here in Barcelona. Now let's talk about the job hunt reality. Finding work as an immigrant in Barcelona comes with a major hurdle. Most companies require fluency in both Spanish and English. Without strong Spanish skills, your options narrow significantly. I applied for a handful of jobs and was rejected mainly because I'm not fluent in Spanish. Finally, I got lucky and found a company on LinkedIn where Spanish wasn't required because the owner was Irish and most of the leadership team was based in the US and UK. But this is definitely the exception, not the rule. So, if you're planning to work locally in Barcelona, investing in Spanish lessons should be at the top of your priority list. Even basic Spanish will dramatically expand your job opportunities. Another thing, if you're thinking about going to Spain on a tourist visa and trying to land a job while you're here, hoping a company will sponsor your work visa, I would reevaluate that strategy because for that to work, you need to have a highly specialized skill that companies cannot easily find in EU candidates who don't need visa sponsorship to begin with. Plus, you've only got 90 days on a tourist visa, which isn't much time to make all that happen. You may ask, did I need visa sponsorship? No, I didn't. I got my residency through Pareja de Hecho or civil partnership, which gives me the right to live and work in Spain without being tied to an employer. It's an ideal setup, especially when the company I worked for went bankrupt and I didn't have to worry about losing my residency status. Some of my colleagues, however, were in Spain on work visas and it was much more stressful for them. They had strict time limits to find a new job or they risk having to leave the country. Another question you may ask, can you switch from a digital nomad visa to a work visa? It's a bit of a gray area, but yes, it can be possible, though the process is often complicated. Spanish immigration laws are complex and can vary by region, so if you're considering this path, it is highly recommended to consult with an immigration lawyer to understand your specific options and avoid legal pitfalls. Now let's talk money. As I've mentioned earlier, I took a 40% pay cut from my previous remote job to accept this hybrid position. Spain has some of the lowest professional salaries in Western Europe, so adjust your expectations accordingly. But the trade off, of course, quality of life, the weather, food, beaches, culture, and overall lifestyle can make up for what you lose in salary. What about salary deductions? When I got my first Spanish payslip, I was confused by all the deductions, so let me break it down for you. In your payslip, you'll see about 6.45% taken for Seguridad Social, which includes 4.9% for public healthcare and basic benefits, and 1.55% for unemployment insurance. Meaning, if you were laid off, you're eligible to receive what they call paro. Paro refers to financial support given to people who have lost their job involuntarily, like being laid off or contract ending, and who meet certain conditions. The aim of Paro is to provide temporary income while they search for new employment. And then there is income tax or the IRPF, which in my case was 18.09%, but it varies based on your salary. These deductions can be a shock if you're used to different tax systems, so factor this into your salary negotiations. Now let's talk about office culture shock. What was it like returning to office after 8 years of remote work? It was unnerving to say the least. Most of my colleagues were Spanish or Latin American and in their 20s, at least a decade younger than me. This created an interesting dynamic. They treated work primarily as a social opportunity, while I was there, well, to work. My boss and I bonded over being the older, all business people in the office. And let's talk about dressing up again. After years of working in whatever I wanted at home, I had to go shopping during my first week because I felt so underdressed. The pressure to look professional was real and honestly a bit annoying, but not gonna lie, it was necessary. So, how long did it last? I stayed with the company for just 10 months before it declared bankruptcy. Not ideal, I know, but thanks to my experience and skills, finding a new remote job wasn't difficult. I guess that job served its purpose, which was helping us get a better apartment, and we did. And honestly, I was ready to move on. Now I'm back to working remotely for a UK based company and earning much more than the average Spanish salary while still enjoying Barcelona's lower cost of living. I also maintain a second remote job which I've had for 5 years as a safety net. That said, would I work locally in Barcelona again? Honestly, no. I've grown too accustomed to remote work flexibility, and as an introvert, not having to socialize daily is a huge plus. And there you have it. My 10-month adventure in a Spanish office gave me cultural insights and connections I wouldn't have gained otherwise. If you're considering a similar move, remember that the lower salary might be worth it for the lifestyle, but you should always have a backup plan. And that's it. If you enjoyed this unfiltered look at immigrant working life in Barcelona, feel free to like and share this video. And don't forget to subscribe for more honest conversations about living abroad. As always, if you have questions, drop them in the comments below or send me an email. Hasta luego.